Hey, do you use LinkedIn ads or are you thinking about using LinkedIn ads or maybe ads in general? Well, you're going to want to watch this episode because we're going to talk a little bit about how to make sure that your ads are performing. And I'm going to share a little story with you, real story that I heard from somebody about why their ads were performing, and it was, wow, I don't know what's this going. So if you want to learn like how to set this up and best practices and some areas that you can do to be successful with LinkedIn, watch this episode.
Welcome to IndustrialSage, a free video podcast series all about digital marketing for industrial manufacturers. Hear interviews with your peers and find out how they're solving the same challenges that you might be facing in your own field. Coming to you from the Optimum Production Studio in Atlanta, Georgia, this is IndustrialSage.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about LinkedIn ads or ads, paid media, but ads, LinkedIn ads specifically. And so I'm going to share a quick story with you. I want to go over really, maybe some best practices on how to use ads and setting up some expectations in the overall workflow. Here's a quick story. Was talking with somebody on the phone the other day, and they came in. We were talking about LinkedIn ads, and they said, "Hey, yeah, listen, we did some ads, and we did all this stuff, and we didn't get anything out of it. It was unsuccessful and whatever." I said, "Okay. That's interesting." And they said, "Well, LinkedIn ads, they just don't work. They don't work. They don't work for us and whatever." And I said, "Okay, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions?" They said, "Sure, go ahead." I said, "All right, so, did you guys have a proper call to action? Like, what was your call to action?" Like, "Oh, well, basically, long story short, it was buy from us." And I said, "Okay, now these ads, were these going to people inside? Do you have a LinkedIn page, like a company page, and are they followers, and are you sending it to them?" "Well, no, I mean, these are like new people. We're trying to get net new business." And I said, "Okay, great. How many ads did you have set up that you sent to them before you asked them to make a purchase?" "Oh, well, I mean, no, we didn't have any." "Okay, the one ad, how many ads did you send out?" "One, we sent one." "Okay, and the call to action was to what? Buy now?" "Okay, all right. And your product is it cost like $5? "No." "Well, what's the average cost of your average deal size, of your product?" "Well, it's about $30 to $40,000 on average, and there can be outliers." "Okay, great. All right. So, we won't even look at demographics and impressions, all this other stuff. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I know exactly why your LinkedIn ads failed." Okay. It's essentially like, we go back to the days of dating. Maybe you are dating right now, maybe you're not. But anyways, it's almost like walking up to somebody in a bar and just saying, "Hey, listen, I'd love to get married to you right now, sight unseen. I know we don't know much about each other, but listen, this is going to be fantastic." Who does that? Hopefully not you or I. We don't do that. You go through you date, right? You or courting or whatever, right? And it's small. Right, the same thing with sales, and it's the same thing with digital. So a lot of people get all excited that, hey, listen, we do ads, we PPC campaigns or Facebook ads or whatever, and look at this. Look at all these people that are making millions of dollars doing all these ads. And while that may be true, and it is true because it does work, you have to do it a little bit differently. So what you can't do is setting up the expectation of, we're going to send one ad and people are going to buy. They're going to become new customers for us. So doing one ad, they don't know you from Adam, and asking them to buy is going to give you a really, really low a really low buy rate. It's the same thing, same reason why when you pick up the phone and you do a cold call, how effective is that going to be? You've got somebody's attention. Are you going to be able to sell them a $30,000 to $50,000 solution right then and there, or at least even start that conversation? No, it's very, very ineffective, and it's the same reason with LinkedIn ads. So if you are going into it saying, "Hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do these ads, we're going to make all this money, it's going to be amazing," you are playing a fool's game, and LinkedIn's going to take all your money. It's not going to work the way that you think it is. Now, can it work? Yes, absolutely. Here's what you want to do. Just like dating, you want to map out your ads to your funnel. So you've got your funnel. You got top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom. And so what you want to do is, we want to, in an ideal world, you want to be able to have content and different things mapped out for that piece. So let's say you've got ads, and we want to get them interested, to buy, right? And we know this is going to take some time. So what we want to do is want to start with an ad, like let's say maybe 1, 2, or even 3 that we want to get this person warmed up. And the goal is not to sell them on buying your product immediately. What we want to do is, we want to get them familiar with who you are, so that that it's not, we don't get them from, I don't know you from Adam, now I want you to buy. You want to get to a point where it's like, oh yeah, XYZ company, yeah, I've kind of seen them around, I've seen some stuff, and maybe that, okay, that seems to be really interesting. So you want to have a lot of top of funnel type content. What is that? It could be from an ad, from an ad standpoint. Well, something that's going to be really, really like beefy and like has lots of bacon around it. So it's not going to be something like, hey, download our spec sheet for whatever. No. That's like too far down the line. Maybe what you want to do is, it could be, an ebook or a video course or something that's highly valuable to them, that they are, that they are going to, find incredibly valuable. That would be what a valuable piece of content would mean. And so what do I mean by that is, I'll give you a good example for what we do with IndustrialSage. One of the things that we do is we have our insight survey, and we talk about all the time. So we've talked to 150 manufacturers, and we have a 52-page report with all these metrics and data from sales and marketing. Like, what are the best practices? Like, what the industry as a whole, what are they doing from a sales and marketing front? What's working, what's not? Where are they moving to? Social media, like all this data, and it's really valuable. So we use that as a top of funnel piece of content, and we can have ads that drive to that. So I'm not asking you to buy from me. I'm saying I have something of value that I think is going to help you be a better, smarter marketer or salesperson for manufacturing. I've got lots of data and lots of insights about what your competitors are doing and what the rest of the industry is doing. Do you find that valuable? Yeah, I do kind of find that valuable. Yeah, we've talked to 150 manufacturers. Would you like that? Yeah, I would. Okay, I just need your email address. Boom. So that should be your ad number one, is an ad on insights report over from 150 manufacturers. Learn what the top trends of what your competitors are doing. Figure out, compare yourself to the rest of the industry. Are we ahead, on par, or behind? And get some of that data and that insight. So think about, what might that piece of content be for you and for your customers, and map that to your funnel. So that's going to be number one. And even before you get into that, honestly, you could do a lot of other awareness campaigns just to kind of soften that audience up. So what do I mean by that? Well, this is where your content marketing or blog articles, those different kinds of things come in handy. What it should be is content that is going to help make them smarter or be valuable, okay? And it can be anywhere from, memes that's funny. We're not trying to sell your product, but something relative to the industry. It could be an art. It could be a blog article that you wrote, something that's super valuable to them, talking about an industry trend. And what you do is maybe you do a LinkedIn ad on that, and you sponsor it, and you push it out, and you say, hey, listen, here's who we're targeting. We're targeting operations managers, and we're talking, we want to get in front of warehousing folks because we've got products that, fit there. So just start sending content, and we're targeting them. And we're not trying to sell them either. We're just trying to build a relationship. We're just trying to get them, soften them up so they say, yeah, when I'm on LinkedIn, I've been seeing this brand pop up. Oh, this is interesting. And it's not, we're not telling you to buy. It's just, I just want to get you to click and learn a little bit more and see that, that logo. I want to see that logo again and again and again and again, right? So once you do that for a little bit, you can, this is getting a little bit more technical, you can literally start building an audience of people that have interacted with that type of content. They look at this video blog, they look at, any of the sponsored stuff. You can start targeting them and say, hey, look, here are the, here's all of the operations managers and warehouses that are within this spec. And we have 5,000 of them that have watched or interacted somehow with a blog article, a video, some of that type of content. And there's 5,000 of them. Now we want to target these 5,000 after they already kind of know who we are a little bit. We want to target them with this top of funnel offer. We want to do an ad to these 5,000 people and say, hey, listen, we'd love for you to download this guide to whatever, or these insights I was just sharing with you. Because at that point, then they kind of know, they're a little bit more like, oh, like we know who you guys are a little bit more. We've seen some of your content. You're not strangers to me. And now you're providing something of value to me, and it's like, yeah, I'll put my email address in there. Okay, they're not asking to buy. Then we're starting on that conversation, right? Now you move them. Now we're moving down to middle funnel, right? Now we've got their email address, and we're able to start doing email marketing, do all that stuff. Well, you can do another ad. You can say, hey, all the people that have interacted with this video, and this top of funnel ad. Now we want to target somebody who has interacted with that second ad, and now maybe that's another offer, and that's a little bit, maybe we're asking them to do a demo, or maybe or we want to share a case study, or download this case study on how XYZ company saved $5 million from the solution, and learn how easy they were able to implement it. And it's a video case study, or it's a written, or it's a white paper, but again, something of value, but we're kind of moving them down the funnel. And that's another ad. Boom. Ooh, I want to see this. But we're only sending that ad to people that we know that have interacted with that first ad. So you start seeing where I'm going with this? Because we're not sending this out to everybody. And it's just not the first time they've heard of us. They've seen all this other content about us. We gave them the first ad, which was trying to get them an insight to that top of funnel offer. They interacted with that. Now we're getting them into another one. So we're moving them down the funnel, and we're building this relationship with them. And then now maybe once they interact with that, there's another ad after that, and maybe that's a little bit more. That's bottom of funnel. That's a little bit more tactical. Like, hey, let's get an InstaQuote, or what, talk to a sales consultant or whatever. We know at that point they warmed them up. We've kind of moved them through the funnel, and that's kind of how you might want to be thinking about ads a little bit. Now, this is one example of a million out there, but this is why, going back to the start of this conversation when I was talking with this company, this is why the LinkedIn ads failed. We're jumping the gun. If you're going from, I don't know you from Adam, buy, and it's very transactional. People see through that. That's not how we buy anymore. The whole shifting, the whole how we all buy, we all know that it's changed. Let's help facilitate that sale, and great ideas, where to go get this ideas, how to go find these pieces of content that would be valuable. That could be offers that you could back up into ads. Talk to your sales team. If you're a marketer and you're trying to figure this out, what does your sales process look like? What is content and things that could help them facilitate that sale? And then maybe even take a step beyond that and get into the shoes of your buyer. What are their pains? What are their challenges? How do they buy? What is that? And what's something that we can do to help them sort of open that deal up and help to facilitate that and start that conversation? And you know what? And it might not be like directly related to your product or services. It could be something that's a little bit more complementary, but it's a way of kind of like easing them in. We know that, if we can get it from over here, that the natural fit is to point over here. So let's start a little bit wider versus saying, I'm trying to get you to buy. Let's go up a little bit more and go a little bit broader, and then bring it down. That's why it's a funnel, right? We start up here wide, then we go down a little bit more narrow. So anyways, another great solution with ads, and I'll put this in there, and this is part of some of the good ABM type strategies, account-based marketing. So my good friend Sangram Vajre over at Terminus, he does a lot of great stuff. On Fridays, on his Flip My Funnel, he's got a LinkedIn Live, which we're very jealous about. We'd like to get LinkedIn Live one day, but anyways, he's got some great stuff. He's got a great episode about account-based marketing, and essentially what that is you've got your hit list of 100 companies or 1,000 companies, whatever it is you're really trying to get into. LinkedIn is a great opportunity where you can, say, hey, we can start sending ads to those companies and people inside those companies to be able to help give air support, if you will, to your sales team. I mean, LinkedIn is just one area. You could do it through other areas. You could do programmatic ads, PPC, all these other things that would be a sort of a focused effort into getting into these different companies through all these different tactics. And so that's another great thing that I love about them. Yeah, he talks about ABM and hey, we got 1,000 companies we're trying to get into. Let's send ads to the right decision makers inside of those companies, or who we want to get, end user, influencer, decision maker. Maybe having those ads and content that fits those personas. So in other words, you're not going to send to an end user oh, our ROI, this has saved you so much money. The end user really doesn't care. The end user really cares about how it's going to make his or her job a million times easier because it's a pain in the butt doing what they're currently doing. You see where I'm coming with that? So anyways, anyway, that's all I got for you on there. So this is why LinkedIn ads and ads in general work. We just have to think about them differently. And it's not just a, hey, we're going to do one ad and we're going to make millions and and it's going to be awesome. It's going to work like that. No, you got to have a strategy. This is why we go back to the funnel. This is why people buy. These need to support. These are not the end all be all. Listen, blanket statement. There could be ads out there, depending on your product and your service, that would be perfect, that would work. A lot of times you think of B2C. If you're buying a $5 item, a $10, your decision-making criteria is a little bit lower than a $30,000 to $50,000 purchase. Okay, you're going to spend a little bit more time on that purchase, depending on the size of the company, versus a consumer piece. And it's like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll do that, and I'll just pay. It's $5 on my credit card. Those ads. That's a lot of times you hear about that. That's where it's a lot more effective with doing a couple ads and boom. But those techniques still apply, very much so on the B2C approach. But don't get tricked into that. And if you've done some of these ads before and they haven't performed like you wanted, go back at it, make a change. It's not a one and done, and it's just it's not like, oh well, that didn't work, that sucked. They do work. You just got to put it in the right framework. So. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. We'd love it if you could, share it. If you've got any questions, we'd love to answer them for you. You can reach out to us at IndustrialSage.com/questions. Happy to answer them for you. If you have a particular topic you'd like us to cover or challenge, we'd love to do that here. And be sure to jump on our newsletter list. You'll be a subscriber. We send all kinds of content, more content than you're actually hearing or seeing. And there's some great stuff there. So thanks for watching, and tune in next week for another great episode of Industrial Sage.